What's up, guys? Welcome to the first ever episode of Blue River Bowhunting Podcast. Got my co-host with me, Allan, tonight.
How's it going, guys?
We're going to have a mixed bag on co-hosts. Allan's going to do some, Ryan's going to do some. I'm going to do some solo sometimes, but we'll work some people in that get to hunt with us on a regular basis. But first, I just want to talk about what our podcast is really going to be. You know, we're going to have some pretty cool people on, talking deer hunting, bow hunting. Might even dip in waterfowl a little bit and just anything outdoors. And, we're regular guys. We're not trying to be nothing special. We're on here having bush lights and talking about shooting poping young bucks with a bow, you know. So we'll have fun with it. But I want to introduce our first ever guest on tonight with Jordan Lane from the great state of Wisconsin. How's it going, buddy?
Pretty good. Thanks for having me.
No problem, man. Me and Jordan actually met on social media, 2 years ago?
That sounds about right.
You know, we talk kind of regularly when we're out deer hunting. We'll text a little bit, see how each other's going. And when I got to go up to Wisconsin last year, he didn't live too far from we were hunting at the same time, and it was just kind of cool to go back and forth with him a little bit. But I bet you're ready for deer season, ain't you?
Yeah, I mean, every day. It's when that sun sets on that last day of the season, you get a little sad. You kind of get a little depressed and like, man, we've got to wait like 9 months until the season starts again. But I'm sure, as you know, season never really stops. So, and then all the prep work begins, and here in Wisconsin, we start in just over a month. So, yeah, I'm getting antsy for sure.
What's the actual date on that when you guys open up?
I think it's September 17th, a Saturday. So,
that's awesome. You get to start that early. We don't get to hunt here in Indiana until October 1st.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's always been about middle of September for us here in Wisconsin, and I don't usually do a whole lot of early season, especially that early because it's usually warm, and then you're dealing with bugs, and they're not moving very much, and you shoot one, and it's 80 degrees, and you got to hurry up and get it dressed and in a cool spot. And so, but the last 3 years on opening day, there's been a buck walk by one of my stands. And I don't think I can go opening day this year either because I'm in a wedding that day. So I'm pretty sure one will walk right by the stand just like normal, and I'll just be sad. But it's all you can do.
So you said you're not a fan of early season, or you typically don't. When is your favorite time of the season? You have a favorite day or anything like that?
I mean, it's cliche, but the rut. I mean, it's just so much fun because there's a constant activity all day long. It's not just go in the morning for a couple hours or go after work in the evening a couple hours. I pack a bag and I sit all day, and it's awesome. You know, I'm blessed to be in an area that has a lot of deer, so I'm seeing deer kind of all day long pretty much. Bucks of all age, size, everything like that. Watch them do their thing, chasing the does and everything. The weather is usually pretty good, although, as Brett can attest to, last year during the rut was not.
No,
it was
very the coldest I've ever been bow hunting in my life.
Yeah, it was very December-like for the end of October, early November. But that's what it is. Any chance to get in the stand is awesome. So, I mean, it's just once the leaves start to fall and you can kind of see everything a little bit better, and you're not sweating getting to your stand or coming out, and you just kind of, that's when my favorite is just.
Do you have a certain day though that's just like, I have to go hunting this day, this is my day, I've had luck on this day, or anything like that?
Well, for sure, on that buck behind me I shot on November 8th, so granted I got to be out there on that day. Now that's kind of getting towards a little bit of the tail end of the rut here, so I usually start I take I guess I call it a rutcation. Take 2 weeks off from work, and I sit in the stand all day, every day for 2 weeks. I don't care what the weather is. It's a vacation too. It's just my time to recharge your batteries, whatever. And most people that don't hunt, they don't understand how you can sit in a tree all day long. It's like, it's really not that hard to me.
Once you're out there, it's peaceful.
Oh, it's awesome. Exactly.
But it will wear you out.
Yeah, exactly. So. November 8th, November 4th, which happens to be my wedding anniversary, so I always go out on that day. But I was kind of the deal with the wife before I agreed to that date is, bow hunting's always going to be happening that day. Hopefully, but then she always tells me, well, if you're any good at hunting, you'll have one killed before then. So, I mean, it's pretty hard to argue with her on that, but I just don't shoot anything, obviously. So, when she sees trail cam pics, she's like, why didn't you shoot that one? I'm like, because there's like 3 that are way bigger than him.
Right.
For some reason, I have my favorite days. I actually have 2. Halloween, the evening. I don't know why. I've had incredible luck on the evening of Halloween, and November 5th. November 5th is always a date that sticks out.
Sure.
Yeah, it's a sad day for me.
Yeah, it's a sad day for him because me and him were the ones that initially got kind of obsessed with trying to film these big deer, and we didn't have the greatest equipment back then, and we had a little Sony Handycam with a little tree arm that wasn't that great. It creaked when you moved it and stuff, and we're sitting there, and we probably got, I don't know, 45 minutes left at daylight, and he taps me on my leg, and we look over, and this bruiser's running down the fence row probably 400 yards, and I'm like, he's going to jump the fence. We're not going to see him ever again. All of a sudden, he turns, and he walks to us, and it takes him about 20 minutes to walk to us, and he's ripping every tree he sees in sight, starts just running around like crazy. All of a sudden, 2 does hop the fence. We're like, where did these does come from? He hops the fence. We think he's gone forever. But when he hopped the fence, there's kind of like a little hill, crest of a hill he was going up into to go back down into this bottom. And we hit the grunt tube, and he turned his head. All we seen was his tail disappearing into the thicket. And we're like, oh, man, are you kidding me? Next thing I know, I hear something, and he is at 15 yards behind us. We weren't even paying attention. He had circled all the way downwind of us, and he was at 15 yards. And he shot him, and I still believe that the deer died, but not 20 minutes after he shot, it just poured rain. And when I say poured rain, it was like a monsoon, and we never did find that deer.
Oh, man, that sucks.
Heartbreaking.
Yeah. It was my biggest buck, too.
Oh,
Yeah.
To piggyback on the Halloween, that actually kind of was really that night 5 years ago, actually 6 years ago now this year, was really what really got me super into bow hunting, because most of my life I've just been strictly a gun hunter. I've always had an interest in bow hunting, but where I hunted at was public land about an hour away. Never saw a lot of big bucks or nothing, so for me it was like kind of hard to get into it. And then fortunately I met my wife, and her family has 250-ish acres in Pepin County, Wisconsin, farmland. And it is just amazing. So I thought I asked permission to bow hunt, and he's like, sure, as no one else really does on the land. And I went out one night. I basically didn't have a tree stand at all. I climbed up a tree and stood on a giant oak branch. I mean, we're talking like 2 feet around, so I could stand on it, and I'm standing up the whole time. And I'm looking out into this field, and there's just bucks chasing does everywhere, huge bucks. And there's a little buck that came in right underneath my tree. I tried some of that doe pea scent, some random stuff I got. Never tried it before. I must have got some on my boot or something while I was climbing, because he was right underneath my tree, and he was sniffing. He was just going nuts over it. And I just never forget that night, because it was just, in the evening. And I looked out in that field, and there's just deer everywhere, just running around, grunting, chasing. I was hooked from that moment. So yeah, I can attest to Halloween. I mean, that is, a kind of a given, I guess, is Halloween.
Right.
Yeah, to be
I
the
think
day.
I rattled my first deer in on Halloween, like, I don't know, 10 plus years ago, but it was actually behind my wife's parents' house. They have a little sliver of land that butts up to Blue River, and I just took a climber back there, messing around one day after work, didn't have a whole lot of time, and thought I'd hit the rattle bag one time, and I called this little 6-pointer, and he come running across the river, jumping across, and he didn't know what was going. He was ready to fight, and he was going to get his ass whooped for sure, because he wasn't very big.
Yeah.
But you talk about Wisconsin a little bit. It just seems like the deer culture up there is just so much different than the rest of the country. I feel like, I don't know, I'm not from there, but when I went up there, it was just like, I don't know, everybody was into it. It was like, it's just part of it up there.
Yeah, I mean, you're spot on, especially gun season. We get over 500,000 people gun hunt in Wisconsin. And there's 5.5 million in the whole state. So
Oh, wow.
you think how many people go hunting. So they call it the Orange Army, which I'm sure a lot of places call it the
Oh,
same thing.
Yeah, we call
But
it the
there's
same
a
thing.
lot of places, people that have like cabins and deer camps, a big thing. Everybody, you could say for a lot of people, it's the only time of year that they see each other. So they bring tons of beer, of course, and
yeah.
half the time they never even get out in their stand in the morning because they're drinking and playing cards and all that stuff too late at night. But there's a lot of people that take it super seriously too. So, but yeah, it is definitely a culture here. The Busch Light cans, they put the orange Busch Light cans for us. I'm pretty sure, I don't know if you guys get them down there, but we get the
We
Blaze
just
Orange.
got some the regular Busch Light tonight.
Yeah. Well, I got
a couple corn cans
I got
in
the
there.
corn
It's hard to
cans
say.
here too. But we get the Blaze Orange cans too.
It's been a while since we got those.
We had like they had like a gold can in the box or something, and you could win a hunting trip somewhere. Or
Yeah. Yep. Never found one of those, but
Actually, my dad did, and when you win it, you're just put into a drawing with probably everybody else that finds one of those gold cans. But he found one night out in the garage drinking. I was like, oh my god, dude, you're going on a hunting trip.
Yeah, right?
We thought he actually won.
Yeah.
It was the golden
It's
ticket.
like a golden ticket. Willy
Oh,
Wonka.
yeah. A little Willy Wonka action, right?
Right.
Yeah. No, but it's huge here. It's a huge economic driver too. I mean, a lot of businesses, especially in the northern half of the state, rely on it. Really, that's like their biggest week of the year.
Yeah, when I came up to Buffalo County, I went to a local bar to have a lunch one day, watching the Packers game before my hunt started the next day, and everybody they knew that I wasn't a regular in there. They knew that I was there for hunting. They're like, "You in to bow hunt the rest of the week?" I'm like, "Actually, I am."
Yeah.
How'd you know that?
Yeah. Well, you can probably tell from your accent too, because
Probably.
most of us have that very Canadian type accent. So yeah, you kind of stick out a little bit. But yeah, no, bow hunting's it's kind of gotten crazy here lately. Obviously Buffalo County is pretty much one of the top spots in the world for bow hunting, or just really big bucks in general. There's a lot of other places that are kind of starting to become well known too, but Buffalo County, Wisconsin is synonymous for Boone and Crockett bucks. So
That's exactly why I picked it.
yeah, and you saw what it is.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, here is like I wanted to talk about this a little bit, comparing Indiana and Wisconsin. But here it's mostly flat. You're gonna have some ravines and stuff, but most of the stuff we're hunting is just a patch of woods here, a patch of woods there, a fence row in between a set of woods or something like that. And my first morning with the sun coming up in Wisconsin, I was blown away because I felt like I was in the mountains. But I mean, you just got those bluffs that come off the Mississippi there, and it's you have to see it for yourself. You can't even hardly explain it.
Yeah, that's where I hunt at in Pepin County, which is basically the county next to Buffalo County. It's the same thing, bluffs and hills, and it's just, it's something else. That's probably part of the reason too why I'm now obsessed with bow hunting. So
I couldn't imagine having to pull a deer up out of one of those bluffs. Those things get rough.
It's awful. I'll tell you that firsthand. During gun season, which is usually the only time I shoot does, I sit on basically a hillside, and I usually shoot down. And I tell my in-laws, I'm like, I ain't shooting a doe down there. I ain't dragging a doe all the way up there.
Not even worth it. The only thing worth it is about a 200-inch whitetail out of there.
Yeah, the buck I shot last year, I shot him down there, and I didn't care to drag him up. That's worth it there. 2 years ago, my father-in-law, one of his best friends hunts, and Brett, I was telling you about him a little bit the other night, but he's 77 years old, still bow hunts with a vertical bow, climbs tree stands like nobody's business. But he shot a real nice 12-pointer on the land, and I helped drag him out. And that thing was 225 pounds field dressed. But
Wow.
we drug him up the hill before we field dressed him because he didn't want to field dress it because he didn't want to ruin anything for me. and we literally had to get a four-wheeler with made some pulley system to get it up some of these spots because there was three of us and it was just too hard because it's too steep in some spots. But bluff country and just somehow it just creates giant bucks. So
That the buck that I killed in Wisconsin last year, I was actually eating my sandwich that I packed up for my lunch for the day, and I just happened to look down into the bottom, and they say once the sun starts hitting that bottom, a lot of the deer will move up.
yep.
I've never hunted that. That's just what they were telling me. So I was kind of trying to pay attention down there. It was a long ways down there, and I saw my buck, and I actually hit a grunt tube a couple times, and he turned, and it took him 45 minutes to get up that bluff.
Oh
And
yeah.
he was right up on top of me and about 45, 50 yards, and I decided that I wasn't going to shoot that far. And he went into a thicket, and right there, with about an hour left of daylight, he come roaming right back out of that thicket and walked right past me.
Yep. No.
But that bluff stuff is crazy. I mean,
Yeah.
the guy said if my deer would have made it down any further, it would have taken us about 8 hours to get it out.
Oh, I believe it. I believe it. Yeah, it makes scouting kind of tough during the off season, especially in the summer months. You don't want to die from sweating so bad or
The mosquitoes.
dehydration or whatever. But I don't typically do a ton of scouting in the summer, anyways. I kind of just rely on my cell cams for that. So, but when you're doing your trail or your tree stand stuff and food plots, yeah, I got some stands way down in the bottom, and I don't ever go there until the rut because it's just a pain to get down there, and you're gonna have to stay down there all day because climbing that you have to stop about 3-4 times to catch your breath.
Speaking of food plots, what kind of stuff do you do? What kind of plots do you put in?
I don't really dabble in it a whole lot until the last couple of years because we've got a lot of ag land where I'm at, so there's tons of corn and beans, corn and beans, and then there's some hay fields, but it's more grass. So I did a little corner piece. I actually put some clover chicory mix in. I did it last year. I didn't like how it turned out last year, but then this year it came up and it was just beautiful. So I would say that for anyone who does a clover chicory mix, if like at first you're really disappointed in how it looks, just wait till next season. It'll be completely different. You won't have to do anything. But they've been hammering that hard so far this season. Now I just tried something new. They did some selective logging where I hunted at 2 years ago, and there's a little bit of an opening. So I thought this would be a good spot for maybe like a micro plot or kind of a kill plot. So I mowed that down with a weed whacker. I can't really get anything back there. Then I sprayed it to kill everything. Then I turned it up and then sprayed it again. And then I planted it with, it's called Boss Brew from Domain Outdoors. It's just a mix of a whole bunch of fall type plants, radishes, turnips, all that kind of stuff. It's specifically a fall blend, and I'm hoping that it's ready, close to rut. So we'll see how it turns out. First time ever trying something like that. I wanted to do 2 other ones this year, but obviously having newborn twins decided to come into the world about 5 weeks early. Kind of put a kibosh on that plan, but I was happy to get the one in. Let's put it that way. So
Yeah.
if it works out well, I'm certainly going to try it again next year. So
We might have to rename this podcast to the Dad's Drinking Beer Talking About Deer Hunting podcast. Because I got a 4-year-old. He's got a
8-month-old.
8-month-old. And you got twins.
twin boys, 7 weeks old yesterday. So
That's awesome.
yeah, 4 weeks of their life in the NICU down in Rochester, Minnesota, but they're rock stars there. So they've been home and kicking butt and growing like weeds, and can't wait till they get older so I can start taking them with me.
I bet.
And
That'd be awesome.
teach
I'm
them all that
excited
kind
for
of
that
stuff.
too. You broke up a little bit there. I think your internet connection might be a little off. What'd you say? You say they have to be flown to a hospital?
Yeah, my wife's water broke, and with the hospital here in Eau Claire is a pretty nice hospital, but they don't deliver any babies under 34 weeks. My wife was like 31 weeks and 2 days, so they're like, we got to take you to one of 3 hospitals, and then we chose Rochester just because of proximity, and we just know it's one of the best hospitals in the world. and they flew her by helicopter down there. And I tease her because I'm really big into aviation, and I kind of hope my boys like it too. And so I'm like, well, they just wanted a helicopter ride, so
Right.
that's what they wanted to
There you
do. So they came down. She flew down there, and then about 36 hours later, they were born. So
That sounds like a scary situation, buddy.
yeah, you know, it all happened so fast that I don't think I had a whole lot of time to get too scared. Let's put it that way.
Just didn't have enough time to
So yeah, they
process it.
came out and they were healthy, and like I said, they were expecting that they would be there for 6 weeks, and they were there for barely 4. So
Nice.
we got to bring them home early. But
So, you're talking about getting your boys into hunting and aviation and stuff. How did you get started hunting? Did your dad show you, or how?
Yep.
Gotcha.
Yeah, my dad did. When I was younger, luckily we were able to hunt on the neighbor's land before he sold it, which was some good private land. So it was kind of got me into it, and I really enjoyed, just being out there with him and seeing the deer and everything like that. And he always sat with me for the first, probably 3-4 years that I hunted. At the time in Wisconsin, you couldn't hunt until you were 12. And there wasn't a youth hunt or anything, but my first buck that I shot with a 44 caliber rifle, which is a hand-me-down from my mom's dad, was a little spike buck. So that was pretty exciting. Now these days I look at that and I don't even blink an eye, like, get out of here.
Right. So
So you gotta cut your teeth somewhere, right?
did you guys have like a hunting camp, like you were kind of talking
No,
earlier?
we don't, which is, I hear a lot of my friends have it, and even some of my buddies that have bow hunting, they do a big lease and they have a big camp. So I kind of miss out on that part. But I hear a lot of stories about it and I kind of miss it. Like, I'd love to be a part of it, but it's okay. Um, it's just kind of me now. My dad kind of gun hunts still, but not really. So he just goes and shoots whatever he can because he wants one deer for some venison. So,
Right.
but yeah, my dad got me into it, and that's kind of took off from there. And like I said, when I tried that bow hunting for the first time, I was that one fateful October Halloween night. Rest is
Got you
history.
hooked.
Rest is history. Yep. So
Actually, I say it was close to Halloween. I don't think it was quite Halloween. How I really fell into love with bow hunting. I was sitting on the edge of alfalfa field with corn standing still behind me, and I saw like 15 deer that morning, and I was all jacked up. And my dad was telling me, keep looking in the corner across from me. It's like 400 yards or so. They keep coming out of that standing corn from the 80 acres across from that. I'm like, all right, I'll keep an eye on it. Next time I look up, and the bachelor group's coming right at me. I mean, we got 3 bucks that I'd probably, at the time, I would have shot all 3. Now I'm doing what I do now. I'd probably only shot one of them, but they were huge. So they come through the field, and you hop the fence, and I didn't get a shot. It was too far. So we went back that evening. I sat on one corner of the field, and he sits on the other corner of the field. I said, dude, right where you're sitting is right where they went into this corn right here. And back then we had the walkie-talkies, you push the button and you talk into it and then put it back to your side so it's not loud, And he was over it. He couldn't see the sights on his pen anymore, which I still had some light left. I mean, legally I still had some light left. And he hit me on that walkie-talkie, and when I looked down to talking to the walkie-talkie, I looked underneath my stand, and underneath my stand in the standing corn is the one buck that I'm talking about that I would have shot. And he's just eating corn, has no idea I'm there. I definitely didn't have any idea he was there, and he's almost directly underneath me. So I get turned around, get my bow, go to pull back on my bow, and he hits the call button on the walkie-talkies. I'm like, oh my God. So the deer looks up, and I look up down the alfalfa field. He's already out of his stand walking down to me, and that I tried to take a shot. I don't think I hit anything. I never did find the arrow, probably because it's about 12 inches deep in the mud.
Yeah, right.
But I don't think I killed him, but he was a giant, and I just fell in love with bow hunting after that because it was such a challenge to me. I want to get that big buck with the bow,
Oh yeah, and kind of your point with the challenge of bow hunting. That's just kind of the other thing that really drew me into the sport. Is just there's so much more that goes into it, and so many people with gun season, they go sit in their fancy little shacks that got heat in it, and some of them have freaking TVs in it and all that crap. Like, it's just it's kind of like it's not even very fun. Like I always open air stand is how I've always hunted. So, but like the challenge of bow hunting is the other big thing that draws me to it. I mean, you have to be, I don't usually take anything over 40 yards for a shot. I practice to
Nice.
50, but I mean, I really don't want to. It'd have to be kind of a perfect scenario to shoot 50.
So,
But and then with us with gun season being so late, it always is the week of Thanksgiving, so the rut's over. You just don't get to experience when they're in during the rut and the activity that they do. So just the whole experience of that too is a huge draw for me. But it's so much more satisfying to shoot a buck with a bow because it takes so much more patience and practice and preparation and everything. So taking 300-yard shots across the field when you haven't picked up your rifle all year since last gun season ended, and then you pick it up and you shoot one. I mean, it's nice, but I mean, is it how fulfilling is it? I guess
Yeah, it's
So
not a challenge at that point.
right, and I mean, most bow hunters can tell you the same thing. It's just like it's a year-round thing for
Oh yeah.
the season. So
I'm even bow hunting turkeys now.
yeah, that's something I haven't gotten into yet. I'll stick with
That
the
is
gun.
tough.
Turkey hunting is fun, but man, with a bow, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll give you credit for trying that, but
I'm going to keep trying it until I get it done because it's kind of like a bucket list thing for me. I don't have
yeah,
a full body turkey mount here in my man cave. I have some fans that I've been pretty lucky when it comes to turkey hunting, but I want a full body mount of a bird I shot with the bow
yep, that would be
somewhere in the
awesome
man cave.
for sure.
So, like your setups, do you guys do lock-ons, ladder stands, climbers? How do you normally approach the season?
I do lock-ons. Um, Being private land, feel pretty comfortable with doing that, and I just use little ladder or like 3-piece climber or ladder pieces to climb up on, and I usually leave them up actually year round. I'll go check the straps a couple times a year, just because I have I think about 10 or 12 stands up right now, so it's kind of a pain to take them down and put them back up. So I just leave them there. Um, but I have a climber too. That's for if I'm hunting in a spot, one of my permanent stands, and the patterns just happen to change, and it just gives me a way to quick, the next day or something, get somewhere different. But I don't typically use it, but I do have a climber. No ladder stands yet. Probably will as my boys get older. So it's something easier for them to get into and sit with me and get a 2-man. But I know a lot of people love ladder stands, but for me, ladder stands just feel more like a gun hunting thing than a bow hunting thing. So
Right. Yeah, I got Alan kind of hooked here on our with the lock-ons and the climbing sticks. It's just so nice to be able to walk in to your setup quiet, get into your setup quiet. You're not
yeah,
banging your stand on the tree or anything like that. And it's just become almost a normal for us to hang double sets now because we want to go in, we want to film.
yeah,
And,
oh for sure,
and always having somebody there to experience the same thing that you're experiencing. You don't have to tell the story, and you get the story from multiple views.
yeah,
That's always the cool thing.
yeah.
Repeating
And plus,
stories.
no one can say you're making it up either.
Right.
Right. Plus, we got it
Yeah.
on video now, so we
Yeah.
can't say
Yeah.
we made it up when we saw
Right.
150-inch deer. We got it on camera now.
Well, I have last year I won one of those Tacticams for your bow, so I use it as like my stabilizer. And I was really looking. I got a little bit of some video of it, just a smaller buck, like just rubbing the crap out of some trees and stuff. So it was kind of fun. But it's like, well, yeah, well, now hoping this year, I hopefully get a chance to shoot one and catch it on video. I got my
That'd be
turkey
cool.
kill on video this year, so that way too, no one can tell you, yeah, I don't really believe you.
Right, and we talked about the challenges of archery upon itself. When you're self filming with your bow, that's even harder. I mean, it's probably one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. I mean, you guys saw the video from me shooting the one in Wisconsin. obviously you can hear me shoot it, but at that point I gave up on it because
Yep.
he came in a totally different direction than what I had planned out in my head, and I couldn't actually even turn the camera arm anymore. He was directly behind me, and I had to turn all the way around to one side to shoot him. So I was like, yeah, I don't care about that camera right now. I'm
Yeah.
smoking this
Oh,
boy,
100%. For
But I
sure.
wish I could have had somebody with me filming it.
Right. And
But
especially
that's
on a special trip like that, I mean, you can't really pass up the opportunity just to try to get it on film as much as you want to. But yeah, it's the heat of the moment. It's it's you make your choice, and should always be to get that shot versus the camera shot. Let's put it that way.
right. So you said your spring and your summer scouting are basically just your trail cameras, your cell links or whatever.
Yeah. So I tend to leave most of my cameras out year round. Sometimes I'll take them out in like January and put them back out in March because I feel like end of March into April it helps with turkey scouting too.
Mm-hmm.
But I just leave them up to check, and then when I go shed hunting in the spring, I always walk the whole property and kind of look for other deer signs, stuff I might have missed, whatever. Summertime, I don't do a whole lot. Everything just grows up so much; it's just so hard to check anything. Trails are kind of hard to see. Um, so I just kind of put my trail cams on spots that, more for spots that I think that are going to be good for the hunting season versus like a summer spot because I get plenty of deer on them. So I don't really change it a whole lot. But I know there's a lot of people that do a lot of summer scouting. And to me, I'd rather just stay as much out of the woods as possible.
Right.
And that's the beauty of the cell cams is, got to go change cars. I got to change batteries in mine probably once or twice at the most twice a year, and usually it's once a summer. So I feel pretty good about going in there once a year. So
Right. What's the hit list looking like right now? What's the number up to?
there is at least 5 right now. Of course, this would be one of our best years for crops of shooter bucks when I have my boys. So my hunting will probably be a little bit less this year than normal versus going whenever I want to. But it's up to about 5. I sent you one trail cam video of the top 2 together. And if I shot either of those, it would be far and away the biggest bucks I've ever shot. Name one of them splits. He's pretty wide. I don't know, Brett, if you can remember, maybe he's probably over 20-inch spread.
I'll edit the video of them walking through the woods here on
Yeah.
the YouTube side of things. Sorry,
Yeah,
if
and
you're only on audio, you don't get the good stuff.
Yeah, and he's got split brow tines too, so he's definitely unique. Kind of one of my top things, other than a drop tine buck, which I've never seen on the property, and in-laws have said they've never seen one either. So, and then the other one is just very tall, and he's decent width too, but nowhere near splits. His name is Fat Albert. My wife decided that they were going to be aircraft names this year.
Nice.
So Fat Albert from the Blue Angels is the name for him. The other 3 that I'm interested in, I haven't named yet. I usually let my wife name them, but I'm so focused on those 2 right now, I don't really care.
Right.
So I haven't
That's
named
kind
them
of
yet.
how we are right now with we got one certain buck. He's escaped us for way too long.
He's just huge.
He is one of the biggest bodied deer I've ever seen in my life. Even coming, from Wisconsin. I mean, I've seen the big bodies there when I was there. This thing looks like a horse with a set of antlers. We nicknamed him Mike Tyson because he's just got that big body. He just come in. We had pictures of him, I think, on like the 2nd of November last year, and he come walk in there like he was just getting ready to take the whole tree out. It's a 12-foot in diameter tree, and he's trying to take it out.
Yeah.
And other than that, we had a few pop up here recently on the spy points in Shelby County, which is one of Ryan's farms, and we nicknamed him Muley Buck. He has a G2. It looks like a mule deer. It don't even look like a whitetail.
Sure.
And then we got one, the White 8. He's an 8-pointer, and he's probably 6 to 10 inches outside his ears on both sides. He's just super wide, man.
Yeah.
I hope he's going to be thick, but you know how it is with velvet picks. It always comes out a little bit.
Oh, it always kind of a little deceiving, but I mean, you can kind of get a pretty good idea of what they look like. And Yeah, and then kind of funny story is the Fat Albert buck. I had him on camera 2 years ago. He was one that I really liked, and he had a split. He had a split G2 on his, I believe it's his left side. And I went hunting after work one day, two seasons ago, and I was walking to my stand, and I got about 50 yards from my stand and realized I forgot my release. So I turn around, kind of like I've never practiced without my release, so I'm like, I'm not gonna go and chance that,
No, I
right?
don't want to mess that
So
spot up.
I'm walking back, I kind of like speed walking back to my truck, and like cussing myself out, like how can you do that? Like I usually keep it in my pockets of my pants so I don't forget it. Well, for whatever reason, I wore different pants that day, so. So I get to my truck, I grab it, I'm walking back to my stand, and I look into the field. It's beans, and I see that buck crossing the field, and he went right by my stand. So if I was in my stand when I was supposed to have been, I could have shot him. So I think it'd be kind of fun if this year I happened to get him. His luck will end after 2 years, but we'll see. It's early, and you know how they get when it gets a little later in the season. I'm feeling pretty good though, because most of the big bucks I've got were pretty non-existent up until just the last couple of weeks. So I'm thinking maybe their patterns are changing a little bit, and they should stick around. But yeah, that'd be kind of it's just another one of those things that you just one of those stories that tell you, yeah, you make mistakes.
Oh,
Dumb.
absolutely. We
Oh, yeah.
make them all the time, and that's
Yep.
one of the coolest parts of when we video and we do edit everything and put it on YouTube and stuff. I want to show you how I messed up. I want to show you how I succeeded. So,
Yep.
like in turkey season, when I missed the bird in Missouri, I was heartbroken because I missed the bird and it was my last day there. But I'm gonna show you where I'm gonna screw up. I'm a regular guy. I ain't nobody.
Yep.
I just want to show you my adventures along the way. Is all we want to do. We're just having fun with it. I've had people ask me at work. They don't quite understand it. Most of them are from the city. And they're like, "Well, you trying to have your own hunting show?" I'm like, "No, I'm not trying to have my own hunting show. I'm just having fun with the passion side of this is why we do this." YouTube and podcasts and social media. It's all out of passion. We're just having fun with it. We ain't trying to be nobody famous. You know what I mean?
100%. And like we talked before, like this is just fun because we're just average hunters. We're regular guys. We're and for lack of a better word, we're nobodies in the hunting world. But we're just like most people who are probably going to listen to this is just your average. But so it's relatable.
Right.
So
Just trying to connect with people.
Yeah, and
get their story and their point of view from all around the world. That's kind of cool.
Exactly. And like to me, I don't like to watch any hunting shows because to me they just feel so scripted and canned.
Staged,
a lot of it is.
I still like watching it, but
yeah, and they always tend to seem like they're kind of talking down to you, like you don't know what you're doing. And I certainly am not someone to sit here and say I know what I'm doing, because I'm always constantly learning, and I've got a good friend of mine who I ask a lot of questions to, who's been hunting forever. So, I mean, I'm not afraid to give like advice, but I always tell that little disclaimer, like I haven't been doing this for very long, so if it doesn't work, don't blame me.
Well, that's another reason I wanted to have you on. You're a regular guy just like me, and I wanted to pick your brain. You're from a different part of the country that maybe not do it the same way as they do it somewhere else. I like to get those different type of views, and that kind of leads me into my next question. Is there anywhere that kind of got a bucket list or a state you want to visit and just try a new state out?
I've thought about it sometimes, and it's hard because I'm so fortunate to hunt where I'm at. And I have a lot of very large bucks where I'm at, so it's difficult to ever want to leave when I know that I have, for lack of better words, kind of world-class bucks where I'm at. So it's hard to want to go somewhere, but there are a lot of places. I know Indiana and Ohio are really starting to kind of blow up as places that are known for large bucks. So I certainly wouldn't decline a request to go hunt there.
Right.
Iowa, Kansas, maybe other ones that I would think about. Um, I think though before I would maybe get too hard into it, is I might want to go to Colorado for an elk hunt just
Oh yeah.
to experience that. I got some buddies that have been really trying to push me to do that, and I think I might try to do that trip first before I try going anywhere else for whitetails when I know I'm in my back. Well, not really my backyard. I got to travel an hour, but my neck of the woods, I've already got what I'm looking for, so it seems kind of silly to go chasing after bucks when I got same or maybe even bigger ones where I can hunt already. So,
Right.
but
That's
yeah,
good.
Brad,
Well,
if you send that invite, and I'm pretty sure I'm not going to decline. So,
hey, if just like I told Brian from Buck Tags Unlimited, he's a guy we met through social media like you, and
yep.
I'm actually going down there to Kentucky and doing some filming for him, and he's going to let me hunt his place and all that kind of thing. It's whenever you want to trade hunts, buddy, I will set you up on an Indiana Bruiser like you never seen. I mean,
Oh yeah.
I'm sure you've seen one before.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's tougher for me because it's my father-in-law's land, and he's pretty
Well,
tight
that's
about it.
understandable
But
too. Yeah.
I think he would open up to the idea of at least letting you come on there to film and stuff.
Oh,
So
that would be legendary. Show him this
yeah,
podcast and show him I'm just a
yeah,
cool, regular beer drinking guy like he
yeah.
is.
Oh yeah. No, he's a pretty cool guy. So I think he would probably be more open to that kind of thing. So
And we could
he
even
does.
do something like I could come up and we could go hit a public spot somewhere, go deep somewhere, and just kind
Oh
of
yeah.
hang out and see what happens. You never know what's going to happen. You know
Yep.
what I mean?
There's some public land close to where I hunt that has actually what's kind of fun about it is it's on the Mississippi River, and to get to this public spot, you have to take a boat.
Oh
So that would be
wow!
kind of a fun little video. Take a flat bottom boat across the boat landing across the river to the island. But I mean, there's some big bucks in there for sure. It gets crazy during gun season, from what I hear. But for bow hunting, I think we could probably make it work
I
a
think
little
we
easier.
might just have to make this happen.
Yeah. No, I
Bring him,
figured that'd be fun.
bring him
So,
down for a Indiana hunt and
Yeah.
go up there and
What's too late as far as like deer hunting? When does your deer hunting stop? When are you over it? If you're over it, if you get what I
for
mean.
me personally, or
Yeah, just for you. Like, is there a certain point of the season that
no,
you stop, or is it just I go until I get mine?
after basically up until, gun season, which ends usually the last just before November ends. I'll do a little bit of late season bow hunting, but I don't do a whole lot because by then it gets really cold.
Oh, I can
Well, it's a
only
little
imagine.
harder to sit in there, and then it depends on what the crop situation's like. If we got some standing beans or anything left,
Hmm.
corn or something, I don't have a whole lot of field edge stands just because they're not usually ideal for the rut. So I don't do a lot of late season, but I will. In the county I'm at, we can actually hunt through the end of January. So I have that option, but I've never hunted January ever. So
We have a muzzleloader that comes in the first weekend in December, I believe, and then it goes for 2 weeks, and then we get bow hunting until like January third or second or third, whatever that weekend it falls on. And
yep,
here in the last few years, we did a little bit of duck hunting too. So when that muzzleloader, late muzzleloader kind of came in, it's just like you're talking. It's freezing cold outside. You can't hardly sit still, anyways. But so we just started chasing ducks a little bit, which it wasn't that great last year. So I kind of hopped back in the stand with the muzzleloader. I actually got a new muzzleloader last year and wanted to throw a little bit of lead, but never really panned out for me. I haven't shot a deer with my muzzleloader probably since like 2013 or something. It's been a while since I've actually had to whip the smoke pole out to shoot something.
yeah. Our muzzleloader season starts right after gun season, so it's about the first week of December as well. Last 10 days. So I'm usually very picky about what bucks I would shoot with rifle because I would know that I could go muzzleloader. So I'm kind of wondering too if maybe with that little kill plot I have this year, which should still be pretty good into late season like that. That maybe with the old smoke pole, it might be a good spot. So we'll see. Like I said, lots to learn with this food plot thing. I've never really tried anything like this before, but a muzzleloader kill would be awesome too. So
Right. We
never
get
killed one.
lucky with our muzzleloader because of all the ag fields that we do have. So if you have corn, they're hitting those fields hard, trying to pack that
Yep.
weight back on after running it all off and during the rut and chasing around and all that. But corn is such a big thing here. Like if you have a cornfield, they're gonna eat every last drop in that thing till it's gone. They're gonna move on to the next one.
Yep.
And they get big herded up around here during that time. So you
Yeah.
might see 30 deer in one herd just running around.
Yeah, that kind of attests to your herding up thing. One of the first winter I had met my now wife, we were going to her folks' place. I think it was sometime in January they do a family birthdays every couple months, and whereas in the valley there was I told her pulled over and there was 78 deer herded up in a cornfield.
Yeah.
So that was another point, like, oh my God,
Yeah.
I'm not hunting this more, So, but yeah, no, it's I should do more late season, but boy, it's certainly a lot harder to get out there when it's that cold.
Oh yeah.
I do invest in some of the higher end clothing because for me, it's so hard when it's cold like that to draw your bow back when you kind of have your average stuff. The buck behind me I shot, I didn't really have good stuff, and it was 30 degrees that day, and I could barely pull my bow back when he came through. So that was almost kind of like a little bit of an eye opener. Like I need to get something that keeps me warm but a little lighter. But even then, there's only so much you can do. That's not it, you have to layer up so much when it's so cold. So, but a lot tougher when you have to draw a bow back,
Right.
and when it's 0 or worse, and throwing some wind chill on top of it. So,
You're talking about your gear and stuff a little bit. Are you a scent guy? Are you super into scent control, or is it something you just wing and say, hey, Indian did it with a leaf over him, I can do it with a pair of camo coveralls on?
no, I'm actually really, really into the scent control thing. I always either shower with no scent before I go out. If I go after work, I have these no scent wipes. Yeah, your cat. And then that I wipe myself down with. I do the ozone control with all of my gear too. So I'm super crazy about it. And I even have the plug-in one in your car or my truck to kind of ozone your truck. So, some of my in-laws make fun of me over it. Like I will never change into my hunting gear inside the house. I always go outside. I don't care if it's 0 degrees out. I always change it outside.
Yep.
So, but it's just something that I've been taught and learned through other bow hunters that, if there's anything to key on, it's scent control because they smell you
Absolutely.
once and they might never come back. So,
And I kind of got him doing it a little bit. I'm a Nazi when it comes to that stuff. Him and Ryan both look at me like I'm an idiot when we're getting out of the truck. I got my scent lock bag inside another bag with make sure you hit the foam when we get up in the stand and the wipes, and hold on, let me spray you off real quick before we take this walk, kind of thing.
yeah, no, but you know what though, like it's so important. You just it's like I said before, it's just one of those things that you can't take for granted or take lightly.
Yeah, don't overlook that.
No, and then to kind of point, I do the same for gun season, although it's maybe not as important because you're generally not getting as close. But my people that I hunt with, they don't really care about scent control, but I generally see way more deer than them too. So it's got to be at some point. So they make fun of me, but how crazy I get about it. But
Yeah, I get made fun of quite a bit. My neighbor Adam, he hunts with a little bit. I took his one of his boys last year on the youth hunt, which I got my first kill on camera, but he makes fun of me all the time. He's like, man, I don't mess with none of that. And he's got a wall that's more impressive than mine, but I am super into the scent. I'm like you. I got the ozone and all that kind of stuff, and I even have my scent lock suit is a carbon. Throw it in the dryer to activate it and all that.
Yep. So do you ozone in the tree too, or do you just ozone before you go out
Well,
there?
a guy that I used to deer hunt a little bit with, probably not too much anymore, but he had the ozonics, and
Yep.
I've done some research on those. I would love to have one. I'm not going to pay that much money for one.
No.
And if we're particular on our scent like we have been, I don't see it even being a problem unless it comes to like high pressure, low pressure, where our thermals are hitting the ground kind of thing. But
Right.
I think if we just spray off good, wash our clothes, that kind of thing, I think we'll be okay. As long as we're not pumping our gas in our hunting clothes. I mean, the only time my hunting clothes even come out of my bag is when I'm putting them on to go inside the woods.
Yep. I'm the same way. And then the my base layers I will typically ozone after, and then generally even before every hunt. Some of the outer layers not so much, because I know like they can be hard on, say, if you have any elastic. The ozone can be pretty tough on it, but yeah, I don't know. It's crazy how obsessed you get with the scent control stuff. But
Absolutely.
it
And
just
like in an instance of hunting with him, and when me and him first started really bow hunting together, you can ask him. It was like a flip switched from the deer that he had saw to when we started doing more scent control. The number of deer we saw doubled. I just felt like we could play. Obviously, we play the wind as much as possible.
right.
But maybe there's an instance where it's like, dude, we have to get in this stand today. The wind may not be the greatest thing in our favor today, but let's go ahead and hunt it anyway. We saw him there yesterday or the day before. Let's try to move in on him, and sometimes it works out for us.
Oh, yeah, and that's kind of another reason why I do it too. I mean, people can say, "Well, I still see a lot of deer, and I don't really care," but it's like you don't know how many you're missing because it's a deer smell you. You're never going to see them anyways, right?
Right.
But to your point too, like I'm so confident in my scent control that if the wind isn't right, but I think I know where he's going to be, I'm going to sit in that stand anyways. I know some people will say that that's crazy because I know you can't completely eliminate your scent, but if you're super diligent on it, I don't mind taking that risk, especially during the rut and stuff. It just gives you a little bit of confidence, or if you want to call it that, you just keep your scent under control, and you can kind of sit wherever you want. Like you said, try to play the wind, but sometimes you got to be really aggressive, and sometimes it pays off. So you can never do it without scent control. Let's put it that way.
No, I think that's.
I wouldn't.
I wouldn't either. I mean, I've been in situations before where, I wanted to hunt a stand so bad, but like the stand we're talking about where he shot that one and we couldn't find it. We love a north wind out of that stand. It blows it back towards the truck, back where we're not really expecting to see anything, anyways. And to lay this property out for you, it's not that big. It's what, 55 acres?
Probably something like that.
55 acres, I think, is what it is. And the best place to hunt in this property is a place we call the bottom. So you have to go basically through the whole entire property, because it's kind of narrow, down across the creek into this bottom. And it's money. It's really nice down there. But
They're coming through there.
We don't like hunting it because we don't like to walk the whole freaking property into the back of it, because we're pushing everything that we want to hunt, that we know where they're bed for the most part anyways. But we don't want to push those deer out because we're trying to catch them in transition of where we're set up. We're set up in a corner of an ag field, and it's just a little hay field, and one side's either corn or beans. I believe it's beans this year.
Yeah.
And it's just a transition. They go through this little pinch point in and out of the field, and we're right there where we need to be. We're 200 yards from a bed and basically right on top of their food source. But it's just when we first put this stand in, I was told, you're not going to kill anything. What are you sitting right there for? You need to go to the bottom. I'm like, dude, I've been hunting this place for a long time. I know where I need to be. We've shot 3 deer out of 130 inches out of the stand.
Well, the first year we listened to everybody and we just sat where the stand was and left it. And then we started seeing a lot of them move through this one corner. And I was like, Brett, we need to put some stands over there. And he was like, let's be patient. And we waited it out or whatever. And it just kept seeming like they were just coming there. So finally he was like, let's do it. Let's put a stand there. So we went and got some stands and threw them up there. And we've had nothing but success from that set.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to talk about that, because I'm sure you guys experience too, and I'm sure every average hunter does, is you tend to overthink things. What stand do I need to sit in? What
Right.
should I sit in? And you get so focused on it, and it's like try to be patient, and it's just so hard sometimes because you just don't know, and there's so many variables, and you always second guess yourself. And that's the only one downfall of the cell cams is it'll definitely tell you if you sat in the wrong stand that day.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Which is okay. I mean, it's part of hunting. I don't get bothered by it. It's just like I mean, honestly, you can do everything in the book. Like this is the wind, this is the weather, this is the stand you're going to be in, and then they show up at the stand that makes no sense whatsoever. The wind's at their back or something like that. And it's, for the bluffs where I hunt at too, it's always hard because that wind just swirls all the time.
Absolutely.
So, you can sit in a spot and the wind's there, but you'll never feel it from that direction. It come from behind you and you're like, well, what the heck? This is just, it's a totally different animal with that too. But I'm sure you guys get it too, where you just feel like you overthink so hard.
Oh, yeah.
You try to tell yourself to simplify it, but it's so hard to do that too because
You just got to go have fun with it. You can't
Yeah.
think about it too much.
I think about it too much. I'm the guy that thinks about it. I'm the one laying in bed at 1 o'clock in the morning, wide awake, because all I can think about is this deer on my camera that I had 2 days ago. You know what I mean? I'm losing sleep over these guys.
Yeah, well, that buck video I sent you of those 2 big ones that night, I definitely had some dreams about shooting one of those that night. So, well, yeah, buck fever is a real thing. So,
Oh, yeah.
And you're chasing big mature bucks like we are. Do you get caught up in the score kind of thing, or do you care about a score? I know some people don't even care about it. Is it something that you're like going after, or like is it something that matters to you?
not so much score to me because I've never scored a deer in my life. I don't want to say I don't know how to, but
It's not.
obviously my goal is to kind of shoot something bigger than I shot before. Now I understand at some point I'm probably going to hit a peak, right? If I shot one of those 2 on that video, it's pretty hard to ever beat that. But it's kind of funny how as you shoot bucks or you see some of these bigger ones that what you would think was a giant that you're not used to seeing, a 2.5-year-old buck is now like an easy pass.
Right.
So I don't get usually caught up in score too much. It's nice, but to me, just by targeting the mature bucks is just good management. Because for me, I like to have a good crop of young bucks because then I know years coming up that
You got something to
have
look forward
lots.
to.
Exactly. So I was just making a comment the other day that I felt like I hadn't been seeing a lot of young bucks on camera, which I like to see. But then, of course, after I say that all week long, I've had a whole bunch of little guys. So, which is good. I love to see it because and those are the ones that are kind of more fun to watch in the woods because they're dumber, if you want to call it.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
But no, I don't get too caught up in it. Like I said, it's just I kind of with the trail cams, it's a love-hate thing, but you kind of get your goal set on 3 to 5, whatever, however many you got, and you just kind of stick to that. Obviously, bucks move on and off the property, so you keep your eyes open, and it's tough to pass on some of them sometimes because they're nice bucks, but if you let them go for one more year, they'll be true giants. So
Right, and it also, you have to almost learn to manage it a little bit because you can shoot a buck during bow season and a buck during gun season compared to us, where we get 1 year all year long. It don't matter what we shoot it with, and we only get one. So it makes it a little easier to manage those bucks because you could be chasing, 2, like you said, you could shoot one with your bow and one with your gun, and that'd be a hell of a season.
Oh yeah, I mean I hope some year it happens like that. That'd be awesome. That's kind of a tall task to shoot, 2 mature bucks in a year. Some people do it, but I'd be happy with one. And if I had to pick, obviously it'd be with a bow. There's a lot more with it. And there are a lot of people, the neighbors and stuff, they do practice pretty good management. But they will shoot, and even my own family members will shoot 2.5-year-olds. So I kind of feel like too, if I'm not shooting them, then, and if they shoot it, then it's kind of like, well, I'm not taking an extra one out. That's going to hinder me for years to come. So, honestly, with the number of deer that were on the property I hunt at, I could probably be done within the first week of bow season if I wanted to, if I just wanted to fill the tag with a small buck. But that's the beauty of bow hunting. So some people will give you crap for being, horn hunters or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's like, that's just how I am for bow season. Gun season is my meat time. That's when I will shoot the does, and I still won't shoot a young buck myself, but does I'll shoot all day long during gun season. That's the venison time. But bow hunting for me that's when I'm looking for the wall hanger. So it becomes a crazy obsession, but man, it's fun.
Oh,
so, and you talk about shooting does during gun season is kind of your meat time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what's gotten into our head, or if it's something that we've grown accustomed to doing. We really like taking does with our bows, like right off the bat, like the first week or second week of October. That way, our meat's done. We ain't got to worry about meat no more, and we're chasing the big boys. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah, I've kind of contemplated doing that. More after 2 seasons ago, there was a really terrible weather season for gun season. So we all share the venison through the 4 families. And we only got 3 deer. We usually try to get 5 or 6 because the weather was so bad. So that kind of made me think, well, maybe I should shoot, a doe beforehand so I know I got venison. Well, but most years we shoot more than enough. We kind of have stopped because it's like, well, we have more than enough. You can go out and if you wait to see a big buck, but usually after opening weekend for us, the big bucks, they hear them gunshots or something, and they just know I ain't doing nothing.
Yeah, they're not messing around.
So, but yeah, if it's a lean year from the gun season before, I might think about shooting does. Because we do eat a lot of venison here. So, and that mindset might change a little bit too as my boys get older, and hopefully they like venison, they want to eat it more, so we'll need a little bit more. And if I shoot one myself with a bow, I don't really have to share it. So
there you go.
Do you guys process your own deer, or do you take them somewhere to get done?
Yep, we process all our own. My brother-in-law actually works for a meat locker, we always trim it up, and then he just brings it to work. And whenever they get a chance, they turn it into, we grind up the ground venison we do ourselves, but we get stuff made into hot dogs and brats. And let's see, don't really ever do any sticks, which we kind of should, snack sticks or whatever. But like a summer sausage, and it's so good.
It's good. Oh yeah, we do those too. We do jalapeno cheddar.
Yeah, there's a jalapeno cheddar and then a habanero.
Yeah,
and it's
pretty good.
Pretty good.
Actually, the honey barbecue ones are pretty good too.
Yeah.
We actually, and they're actually pretty good friends of mine and my wife's. We actually live not too far from the meat locker here in town, and their boys play on the same baseball team and stuff as my boy does, and they do a really good job of cutting up everything. But he does a lot on his own. I do when I get the time to, like, I'll go over and we'll hang it up in his garage, and he's got a saw and all that kind of stuff.
I actually lucked out and got a nice saw and grinder combo. It's like what would you call it?
Well, like a table saw.
Yeah, and you can literally throw the ribs in there and cut your ribs out. And I had never had deer ribs, but a buddy that is a big hunter, and he had told me about it, and he was like, "You have not had it until you've had all of it." He was like, "Try the ribs," and we did, and they were awesome.
They were really good.
They were awesome.
Threw some barbecue on them and kind of somewhat smoked them over just a little fire pit. It was fucking good.
You just throw like the whole rib rack on when you make it.
Just like you
would. On one of them, you had to cut up. You had to cut up into smaller chunks,
Oh, okay.
Like a quarter of a rack or whatever.
Sure.
That way it just helped.
But some of them were cut up kind of like lamb chops.
Yeah, because we usually like cut in between the ribs, but that'd be nice to try that. Just kind of leave it on there and cut it out, and just Yeah, that's.
So are you a big cooking guy when it comes to venison? Or are you kind of just a simple burger kind of guy, or do you do roasts and steaks and stuff?
I like the little steak medallions. It's
Oh, yeah.
kind of like my favorite. Other than that, I just mostly use the ground. Personally, the venison hot dogs are just to
I don't
die
know if I've
for.
ever
We've
had.
never had those.
I don't think I've ever had a venison hot dog.
Yeah,
That's something I
That's
need
something
to
new.
try.
yeah, definitely try it. If you ever make it up here, I can give you a package to try. I try to send it to you, but I don't really trust that it'll get there
Right.
without
Yeah.
melting or completely thawing and being gross by the time. But no, they're so good.
We did bratwurst a couple
Yeah.
times, and some of them can be good, and it seems like they get dried out really easy. But we cook it up around here. I mean, I'm showing it a little bit. We love Sundays. Colts games going on, or the race or something like that. We usually have like a fish fry. We throw some steaks on the grill and stuff like that. But we've tried all kinds of stuff when it comes to venison. I feel like he's even talking about trying to make a venison cookbook.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, sure.
We've seen just a couple things and different things. We tried. I have a twin brother, as I said,
Yeah.
and he's been a cook for most of his professional career or whatever. And he was like, "What do you want for dinner one night?" And I was like, "I don't know." He was like, "Well, we got plenty of deer." And I was like, "Okay, what do you want to make? Steak? What?" And he was like, "I was like, hamburger helper." He said, "I'm thinking about making some venison Manhattans." So we tried that, and it turned out killer.
They're really
I mean,
good.
it was awesome. And we've just done, the normal stuff, tacos,
Yeah.
fajitas, stuff like that. But yeah, we just started branching out, trying different things, and the venison
I mean,
Manhattans
Oh yeah, those are bomb.
were
it's,
awesome.
it's such a lean meat. Like
Oh, yeah.
one of the best meats for you. There's like basically no fat in it, and so I would eat venison over anything.
Oh, yeah.
My favorite, red meat to have. I love chicken and fish, but if I can have venison, I'll take it over beef or pork or anything any day of the week. Throw it in anything. I'll eat venison all the time. So
We just gotten a knack on the fish fry thing. We would go to Kroger and he'd get some perch, and some people bring over some crappie. And we just recently had a ton of walleye from a bachelor trip. But the fish thing is, I don't know, it's just really easy. We're out there, got a big table set up, watching the game, deep frying. Just having a good time. Usually talking about deer hunting.
yeah, well, in Wisconsin, fish fries on Fridays are a staple.
Oh, I'm sure.
Fish fry Fridays with old fashions. It's just like a Wisconsin
Man,
tradition.
sounds good.
So it's anywhere. There's a lot of places. It's a Friday thing. It's a fish fry. So yeah, we do it pretty good up here with fish fries and old fashions.
The
So
most Wisconsin thing I can describe from being just there a week or whatever I was out there. Bush Light in a bottle.
Oh, I love Bush Light in a bottle.
Never
I
seen
get
Bush
that
Light in
here.
a bottle.
I love Bush Light in a bottle too.
Oh, it's the best.
It is the best. Some of my buddies they'll make fun of me too because they're like, "Oh, you're a little bottle snob." And I'm like, "Dude, it is way better than
It
a can."
is.
So I try to get bottles all the time, but yeah, no Bush Light bottles, man.
I was actually a Miller Lite guy for a long
I
time,
was
and
too.
then my best friend as a kid, and it's actually Brett's cousin. He met me at the bar one night and was like, "You want a beer?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." He's like, "What are you drinking?" I was like, "Miller Lite." He was like, "Try this," and I was like, "What?" He's like, "Here's a Bush Light." He's like, "It's the best beer you'll get." He's like, "It's so refreshing, everything." Man, he's got me hooked now. I don't even like drinking it out of a can. I want it out of a bottle if I can.
And
I know.
how did
In the
Bush
same
Light?
way, whenever I go to a place, most places in Wisconsin have Bush Light, but they don't always have bottles. So I'm like,
Right.
"You got a Bush Light bottle?" They're like, "Yeah." I'm like, "All right, I'll have one of those."
Oh,
So,
yeah.
How did Bush Light become mainstream? Like that's all I've drank since obviously I probably drank a few before I was 21, but since I was 21, Bush Light. I mean, that's my grandpa drinks it, my dad drank it, I drank it. It was just like a family thing. People drank Bush Lights, and then all of a sudden you see all these TikToks and everything else, and it's like the fun thing to do is like, nah, I've been doing this for a long time.
if you ask me, it's the best tasting light beer.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Hands down.
and if you guys are like me, you usually don't just have a beer for fun. You're
Right.
usually gonna probably have half dozen or more
Absolutely.
per time. So it's a good beer to drink a bunch of, and just tastes good. Yeah, I know. You need to work on getting a Busch Light sponsorship.
There we go.
Right? That's
I feel like they should because of all the money we've invested in them already.
Right.
Yeah. Send us a case a week.
We
Yeah,
went
well-
to a wedding in Arkansas this past summer for one of my wife's friends, and their wedding was sponsored by Busch Light. I was in heaven. I'm like, as much Busch Light as I can drink. All right, don't challenge me because I will.
Yeah.
I think I beat my personal record. I didn't count, but I threw a bunch of cans in a pile so I could count the next morning, and I drank 48 Busch Lights.
Oh my God! In a day,
And I was functional.
You started
That's
in the
best
morning,
thing.
right? I hope you started in the morning.
Yeah, it was like 9 or 10 o'clock. It was for a wedding, and we got to swim in their in-ground pool on their big farm and everything.
Yeah.
And then they brought all these Busch Lights out. I'm like, oh, wow, you just brought like 9 cases of Busch Light out here. Challenge accepted.
Yeah. Well, when we went to, this is probably, this is 8 years ago now. Me and my buddies, we went to Canada fishing, and they had to fly in on a separate flight on the float plane, our beer order, because always we were way overweight. So,
Did you go fishing up there?
oh yeah, yeah,
You guys, what were you fishing for?
walleye.
Walleye.
And it was, I haven't fished for walleye around here ever since because, it was like fishing for panfish. It was unbelievable. It was a fly-in lake, so it's no access unless you've got in by airplane. And the one day between the 3 guys, we caught over 350 walleyes in one day.
Wow.
We fished about 14 hours, and we even had a shore lunch and everything. And it was there was hardly anything under 15 inches. The biggest one I caught was 29 3/4. So,
Dang.
Wow.
we definitely want to go back at some point, but pretty hard to walleye fish anywhere else when you go there. And at one point I was chewing some gum and I threw my gum on the hook and I still caught one with it. So it was, but there's big pike in that lake. 8 different occasions we had pike smack the walleyes as we were reeling them up.
Oh, shit.
So we caught 44-inch northern was the biggest one we caught.
Wow.
I've never caught anything like that. I never got to fish
But
with pike.
my buddy, who happened to be fishing alone at the time, so I can't confirm the story, but he claims he had a 50-plus inch northern that he was fighting for a while, which is really rare for a northern to be 50 inches. Up there, I would believe it, but he's kind of a storyteller, so we're not really sure how valid that was. But yeah, no, that's something I want to do again too. Is go back to the flying lake and do that. But we'll stick to the bow hunting. The rest of the show.
Well, that's cool, buddy. We're gonna wind things down here a little bit,
Sure.
and appreciate you coming on. I had a blast. We'll definitely get you back on. See, something else I probably failed to mention earlier on this podcast, but our podcast, we're gonna try to journal our hunts as best as we can this year, and when we get on, we want to talk about what we're seeing at the time, what's happening to us as it's happening. You know what I mean? And I would love to have you back on and know how things are going up north there.
Yeah, no, I'd love to be on anytime. Anytime you want me on, I love this kind of stuff. Just to talk hunting, we can talk about anything bow hunting related. You can controversial topics, even whatever you want to talk about. I don't care. I'm a pretty level-headed guy, so. But yeah, no, I'm definitely down with that idea, just to kind of check in and see how the season's going and what we've experienced so far, and probably the screw ups we did, and
Right.
hopefully
not the bucks we missed.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
hopefully it's not that.
No, hopefully not. Hopefully we'll be talking stories about the big one that I shot.
Yeah.
Right.
But
I'm
like I
gonna
said,
have an opportunity here coming up in just a few weeks. I'm gonna go down to Kentucky with Brian, and I would be ecstatic to shoot a buck in velvet. I mean, that would be awesome.
that would be fun for sure. So good luck to you on that.
Yeah.
By all means, I'll be watching to see if you. I'm sure you'll text me if you shoot one anyways.
Yeah.
So,
I always text you anyways.
but yeah, no, for sure. So yeah, no, if you want to do a follow up just to see season progress, I mean, heck yeah, man.
Yeah,
I'm
that sounds
down for all this stuff.
right up the alley there. But thanks everybody for watching the first episode of our podcast, and we'll have plenty to come. We might even pump 2 a week out sometimes, and we'll definitely have Jordan back on. But like and subscribe on the YouTube. You guys can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Go give Jordan here a follow on Twitter. And thanks for watching, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.